Hello. Now you can hear. The first time I just looked like I was miming myself, and I was practicing my miming skills just then. Miming. Hi, welcome to Expansions with me. I'm Jane. Nice and echoey in here, so hopefully you enjoy that. Um, and as you hop on, let me know that you're here. I'm really excited about this topic this evening. So I'm going to pull a card while everyone tunes in because I was really called to this deck. I'm excited about this one. I got this deck, I don't know, like a year ago. I really like the writer of it. And, oh, hello, Mama Jane is joining us from the Indiana. Okay. Pull the card. The end. Okay. I'll check that out in a little bit. So let's just anchor in. So let's begin, shall we? Yes. Let's all just take a deep breath in and a big exhale. The invitation is to do a few more of those, making the breath in as big and expansive as possible. And as you exhale, to surrender into the moment. Surrender into this now, into the presence of you. Feel the weight of your body on the earth, the inflow and outflow of your breath, and call in all parts of you. The parts of you that have been scattered around in different places that you've been, different memories that maybe you have visited, all the ideas of where you need to go and what you need to do in a future now. Call all parts of you back home and become aware of the beating heart in your chest. As you take a big, full breath in and a big, full breath out. Now we're here. I gave myself a meditation the other day. I woke up really early the other day. And hey, Allison. I woke up really early the other day, and my normal practice is I make a greens drink with lemon, and I pull a card, and I welcome the sunshine, and I have a meditation, I do some breath work, and I move my body, and I do my little thing. And this day that I woke up early, it was way too early to greet the sun because the sun was like, nah, dog, I'm not going to be out for a while. And I was really called to go sit at one of my altars. And it's a low sitting one. And I went to it, and I had my mala with me, and I did a japa meditation. And after that, I was with a piece of sacred geometry and just staring at it with a candle. And then I was staring at the candle. And most of the time when I wasn't doing the japa meditation on my mala, I had the koshi going. And I ended up getting in this rhythm of my breath and staring, and I was rocking a little bit, and the koshi was going, and I was aware that I didn't know what I was doing, but aware that I knew nothing more than what I was doing. I only knew what I was doing, and it was a higher knowing. And I'm in it, and I got some really big downloads and inspirations and clearings and clarity, and I felt like I just did the work, and it felt so good. And then I went and greeted the sun and got my lemon water and did all that. So I really love the Koshi one. Did you say you don't have one, do you? Man, I really love them. And something that day really brought to light for me, and this kind of path that I'm on, is this path of ascension. Because what I did that morning excelled my ascension. And I want to talk about what ascension is briefly, and then I want to just kind of like dive into it and just like play around in it. So the way I see ascension is transcending, it's moving above, it's expanding. It's taking the wherever I am in this now moment and seeing it for what it is, and not seeing it through a lens of judgment or a lens of fear or wrongness or anything like that, but just seeing it for the isness of what it is. And so then I can really rise above it and then feel the gifts of it. And I can learn the lessons from it, and I can expand in compassion, or I have more clarity, more insight, more knowing. I have more radiance about me. I literally rise above it. And, when we look at spiritual texts, a lot of them talk about ascended masters, and basically they're higher frequency beings. So some look at them as angel beings. So the angels would be considered ascended, right? They're no longer of the dense, heavy body human form, whether they had been or not, depending, I guess, on what stories you're looking at. But they have transcended the physical flesh, and now they are of this light, and they are now just of service in the spiritual realm. So we have, I feel like, been taught that to ascend means you do it after you die. Right? It's like you live your life and then you learn all your lessons when you're now dead. Like, quick, you're dead. Okay, go talk about it with your God or your saint person that guards the gate, or whatever the troll keeper is that tells you can't pass go or you can, or whatever. But that's when you decipher, okay, I did this right, I did this wrong, okay, okay, am I good enough to now ascend so I don't have to be in that heavy karmic battle called human? So, and that's just the story that I think a lot of humans in our culture have been taught, especially in the United States, from the Christian colonizing kind of perspective, not the indigenous state space. So what I feel has been happening is that things are shifting from like this like black and white perspective to this really rainbow gray nuance of just anything is possible. And I think as more people are doing spiritual work without the lens of judgment and righteousness and a dogmatic perspective, there's like, oh, I'm seeing so much more. So for me, I'm seeing ascension as being able to be done here on earth. We don't have to die to ascend. I mean, we're going to ascend when we die because we literally like leave the physical matter behind. And we can ascend in this body. We can ascend into a new iteration of ourself as often as we are willing to do. And to me, that's such a gift. And it's also not the most fun, which I want to talk about too. But it's that we have this ability now that we can actually see the situation that we're in or that we've been in, pull ourselves up, we can ascend our perspective, see it for what it is, grow and learn and take on more of that light, the spirit that we are. We take it on, we embody it. And then we can walk around a little bit more amplified. We're a little bit more ascended. We're a little bit bigger in our impact as a spiritual being. We're not such a heavy, dense experiencer of life. We're more like, oh, this is a lot more fun. It doesn't suck so bad. So if anybody wants to add anything, please do. If you have anything to add, let me know. Or ask. So what I thought, so I remember seeing the word ascension for the first time. I was dating this guy and we were driving, and I remember that we passed a church, And it was Our Lady of no, was it Ascension or was it Assumption? I think that church was Assumption, and I just remember that more clearly now. This whole time I thought it was Ascension. Anyway, I saw it somewhere. Oh, hey, Standing Buffaloes in the house. I want to share what you have to say real quick. It says, I believe just that. When we get to a point on this life, we're working on raising our vibrations. Yes, blessings be with you, T. Thank you for that. Yes, thank you for that share. You know, we are always raising our vibration. And when I think about like ascended masters, when I think of ascended beings and think of, say, like the angels or other deities in any other cultural belief system, you know, they're pretty much like beautiful, and they're all like singing and playing harps and they're dancing, and oh, it's just a lovely old time. That's not what the path to ascension is. The path of ascension is kind of craptastic. A lot of crap. It's a lot of the crap, because you can't ascend without seeing the stuff that you're moving through. Because you can't ascend by spiritually bypassing, which it gives a false sense of ascension until you actually move through a hard time and you literally can't handle it. And then, so that's a thing. Yes, Allison says, I seek to heal myself further. That's what it is. It's healing, right? Because ascension, I define healing as facilitating a positive change in self or others. And what is a positive change but something that just it feels better? So to me, feeling better is holding more of a higher frequency, a higher vibration. So, you know, this thought about, okay, well, for me to be ascended means that I have to be dancing and glowing and radiant and all the things. And then on the days when I'm not, like on the days that I'm not glowing, on the days that I wake up and I'm like, F this, I don't wanna play this game. You're getting on my nerves. I don't even like you anymore. Get out of my face. Why did you just turn without your turn signal on? Whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God. It's like you lost your magic wings, and then you start to feel bad about it. You're like, oh, but I had made it so far. And so a lot of people get like knocked off of their spiritual ascension path because we're going through a human experience again. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are actually going through in these nows together. Like we're moving through it. I think the last, at least since New Year's, Christmas, New Year's time, it got real heavy for a lot of people, and it's been real heavy for a lot of people. And if you have been on a path of healing and raising your vibration and ascending and growing and moving through and all this other stuff, it can almost feel like a backstep and a backslide. And then, I don't know about y'all, but like whenever I backslide, I fall off the wagon, I fall off the path, I can tend to stay off that path even longer. I've noticed that with myself in all types of my old addictive ways of being. It's like, oh, I fell off my path, I ate a pizza. I guess I'll just eat a pizza now every night. You know, like that type of thing. So I'm curious, has anyone been experiencing either the I'm feeling ascended, I feel like I'm there, or are you feeling like you're backsliding, or what? Do you want to share?
It was like both. I mean, like I it was kind of that same timeline of like everything was doing really well, and then it was time for the holidays, and like it just turned into a lot of having to give of myself, and I think that is an addiction of itself. So like I already do that all the time, but during those times you're like even more so, and I was kind of in a path of not doing that, like focusing on myself and me. And so I think it's weird because I really just have this like understanding right now, but it's like I got into that, and I think it's just like continued on. And the way that I cope with like giving so much of myself is by doing those backsliding things of like not going to the gym, not sleeping enough, not and then what I am doing is for other people. you know? And then when it's time for me, like I have to do something, like I went to Raleigh this weekend and I'm just dead. Like I have zero to give because I'd already given all of myself, and then I was trying to give to myself, and it was like lackluster, you know. Um, Today has been like, actually this whole week it's been like really really rough. So I'm definitely feeling that like backsliding, like I'm not breathing, you know. I feel like you're suffocating, kind of.
That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I'm not breathing.
Well, and it's like you don't know where to fix it again, you know? Because it took you so long to get wherever there was. And it's weird because I don't really know what there is, but I know what it's not, and it's not this.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you shared that because, and don't leave me. I want to read what you shared. Cause I want to know. That I think is a huge, recognition, one, to be able to say like, oh, I recognize that I was taking really good care of myself and I started to stop taking as much care of myself and started giving more again. I realized that was my old unhealthy way of being. And for me to cope with that is to do less healthy for me things. Right. And so this could be in any form of addiction. Like you said addiction, right? It's like an addiction. So it's almost like, I'm working so much. I'm going to start drinking alcohol again. You know, I'm working so much. I'm going to start drinking coffee again. I'm going to start smoking cigarettes again because I'm so stressed out. Like we'll justify it, right? Because it takes more mental and emotional strength to move through, to not do those things, to be with the recognition of, oh wait, I just stopped taking care of myself. Because then it's like, because we're the only, like, I'm not ever going to leave me. I've never left me. So if I let me down, that's really the biggest letdown. Like I always thought it was like when one of my parents would look at me and be like, I'm disappointed in you. Like, cause that was real shitty, but it's really not until I actually let myself down because I have no one else to blame. And we also get into this mindset of, oh, I was doing so well. I want to get back to that. So we can't. We can't get back to that. We can go to that. And I say that because when I was there the first time, I was not who I now am. Who I am now actually has more knowledge and more experience and more insight and more wisdom. So I don't want to go back to that no matter how great that was. I want to go back to that, but from this newer version of me that has more awareness of like, ooh, yeah, I backslid and I still love me. Because now I'm taking that with me. So then I actually ascend more. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So I'm like so glad because when we do that, when we'll go so far, you know, we'll train for this. You know, we ascended this far. I got my vibe this high. I was happy for a year. I swear I was. And now I'm feeling depressed. And I just want to get back to happiness again. As soon as we start to say, I want to get back to, literally, we know that we can't go back in time unless it's like in the quantum, but like the physical can't. So then no matter what we think, our belief is going to hold us in a way that we won't hold the frequency and vibration of what we actually could quantumly ascend to.
Yeah. Well, you can't go back because in that point, you didn't know that, for lack of better words, you didn't know that you weren't going to succeed later. So in that moment, you felt success at its point.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were feeling success in the now that you were experiencing it.
Yeah. So then moving forward is going to be a different type of success that you're now feeling.
Yes. It's like a more success.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, if I have weighed, we were talking about weight earlier because we both have had experiences with body relationships. And, you know, it's kind of like if I have weighed 400 pounds and I've gotten down to 100, you know, that's like a monumental thing. If I've weighed 110 and I've gotten down to 100, like, you know, yay, you know, it's like, like it's celebratory and I don't want to minimize, but there's something really kind of beautiful and juicy about being in a really gross place of the human experience when we know that we're going to get to somewhere better. it's kind of like, oh, this is it. This is me failing again. Yeah, I'm failing again. I did it again. Man, I totally forgot. And I'm using unhealthy coping skills. Awesome. Because now I can move through it. And I don't have to stay there with like blinders on. Like I'm not oblivious to what I'm actually experiencing, which to me is a big gift, which I want to talk about that in a second. Allison says, gosh, so true. Outside happenings. My reaction pushes me out of my peace. Yes, our reactions. Oh, hey, Jeremy's in the house. Standing Buffalo says to be that being of unconditional love, even when folks are trying to push their stuff on you, I just let it slide by, sending it, surrounding it in pure love and light. Thanks, Jane, you rock. Oh, thank you for that reflection.
I just had a big conversation about that. I'm in like a chat group, the Yoni Magic course. Our final class was last week, and we were talking about the idea of just living in your person, like in your spirit and your everything. And I've always struggled a lot with being impacted by other people, like their feelings and emotions and all that kind of stuff. And it's really interesting because a lot of it has been just like setting an intention to like have a cone around yourself and like of, you know, having that strength. But it like when you're already in a place of feeling that backslide and then you're feeling like you're not strong enough to like deal with the emotions that are around you, it's like, it's even more, you know what I mean? Like it's even heavier and you're like feeling the weight of other people on you as well. It's really, it's nice to hear that that's like a collective thing that people might be feeling that too right now. Cause I thought I was doing a lot better with that. And now it's like showing up again. So it's kind of like learning what is it in my now that I'm needing to like revisit that's having that appear again. You know?
Yeah. When I think like, for me, it's when I think about ascension, I just kind of see a geologist and they're out there digging in the dirt and they find a diamond. Whoa. To me, that's like ascension, right? You literally just came out of the dirt and like there's light shining off you and you're like, oh my gosh, right? And then he puts it in his pocket, right? So same thing as maybe that's another time of darkness, right? And so that's when we're in the muck. We're going through the crap again. We backslid. We're coping in unhealthy ways, whatever. We're taking things personally. We're projecting and all this stuff. He takes it out of his pocket, right? And he wiped a lot of the dirt off now. And he's starting to show his friends. That's our next version of ascension. There's less dirt on us. We're still the same beautiful diamond, right? But now we're seeing more of it and others are starting to see it more, right? It's being shown off. Okay, so now he wraps it up, puts it in a thing, sets it aside. And so now maybe that's when we lost ourselves. We stopped caring about ourselves and we stopped our spiritual practice. This is a really good analogy that's coming through. I'm really happy about this. You know, we lose our spiritual practice. We just get in this ho-hum, clock in, clock out. I'm not bad. I'm not good, but nothing really tastes so divine. And you know, I might be a little snippy and I might have better days, but meh, right? And so then he takes it out of the package and that's when he starts to shine it up, right? So now it's like, oh snap, that looks like a dime that you could sell. That's our next version of ascension, right? And it's like, okay, now it's like, oh, I'm like refracting light here and there and people are really starting to recognize me as this ascended being. I'm starting to own like I'm an ascended being. I'm holding this light within me. You can tell I'm holding it in because I'm this diamond. So he puts it away again. And that's the time that you know, maybe we're just going through it. Now it's just dark night of soul. Like, I don't even know where that came from. Now I'm going to heal ancestral stuff. That's not even mine. But oh, this is like the deep stuff. I mean, it's my ancestral stuff. It's my epigenetic stuff. I'm going to clear stuff from my great-great-grandparents because I don't even care because I'm holding so much light I can. Right? So that's the awareness because it's starting to come up in really subconscious kind of expressions. So geologist takes it back out and now he's actually going to shape it so it actually has certain facets to it. right? Which means, the more facets that are on a diamond, the more light refracts out. So that is okay, I'm here. Now I'm this ascended being, right? And then like with any piece of jewelry or diamond, it gets dirty, just with like hair products and soaps and lotions and those things. So we're always moving through, but the diamond never says, no, I want to go back into the earth because of that feeling of when I first came out, or that feeling when he first showed me to his friends. We're always moving somewhere more. It's just a matter of recognizing that when I'm being put away, that in these places that are dark and dense, that it's just preparing me so I can see, what is this? What are in these cracks? What am I actually wanting to get rid of? Because that's what makes the ascension so much more potent, because then there's nothing hiding, right? There's nothing hiding at that point. You can see straight through the diamonds because there's nothing to hide anymore. But when you first pull that diamond out, you can't even see what's in there. So it's just this process. It's this evolution of the ascension process. I really like that analogy.
That was cool. And I feel like I kept going even further in my head to like the end of, like when you were saying with any piece of jewelry, it's like, and then you wear it all the time. And then it's like always there. And like you do have to clean it sometimes and you have to like, work on it. But it turns into less of a practice and more of just like who you are.
Yeah. Yes. And how sometimes you can even take it for granted.
Yeah.
And you'll still do the same practice. I thought about this recently because I'm really aware that my spiritual practice, I have a set, but I don't do the same thing every day because that is not in my highest good. I like the creativity. I like the difference and the fun of that. And so for me, that's looking at that ring and not ever taking it, or that diamond, and not ever taking it for granted. And being like, oh my God, this is where I am today. I have it in my life still. I have this in my life still. I have this body in my life still, and being able to be like, yes. And that there is going to be a maintenance to it, because that's, to me, I would much rather maintain and be like, oh, that was a little speck of an old trauma. Clear that, love it, heal it, however that looks, and keep moving on. Because otherwise, the cracks or the dirt is going to start to build up, right? Those products will start to build up on the diamond, and eventually you got to like scrape it off, and it's just more work. And sometimes we're not even willing to do it, And then until we see someone else's shining so bright, and we look at ours and we go, "Wow, that's really dull." But if it is a piece of jewelry in this case, we take it home and we clean it real quick. But how often, though, do we just judge ourselves like, oh my God, I'm not as clean as their shininess. I'm not as bright as them. I'm not as whatever, right? We will put in the aspect of comparison, which just further dirties up this diamond that we are, this multifaceted being that we are. Let's see. Allison says, internal healing / ascension is a new thing for me. Really want and practicing this new space of healing. Awesome. Jeremy, the chat tonight is about ascension, which I thought I put that on there, but apparently it's not on the screen, and I just noticed that. My bad. Standing Buffalo says, I've tried to keep myself in that space of being in a positive state of mind, turning things around so that what they receive back is that love. Yes. That's the funny thing about ascension or anything, is that it all starts in the mind. Because the heart is already there. The light is already there. The mind is the only thing that will take us out of it and forget it. It's the only thing that'll choose things that aren't in alignment with that spiritual aspect. Love. It's only the mind that chooses that. The heart never doesn't choose love. The heart always chooses love. Our higher self always chooses love. Our inner child always chooses love and presence and joy. It's only the mind, and that's the one thing that we have infinite control over. And even, I was going to say, and even, I can't not say this, unless we're completely brainwashed in the matrix, or are living a lifestyle that has calcified our brain so much that literally the neural pathways aren't able to fire as well, or we are on drugs.
Yeah, because like I'm noticing with myself and then with a lot of people that there's a lot of blocks of like being, and it's funny we brought up trust earlier, but like of trust in yourself, like what you're doing, because there is a lot of things, I don't know, like you do feel very prone to like manipulation anymore because of how like things can be sugar coated or added, and everyone's just wanting to feel better, and so they're willing to like go into anything in order to do that. And I think it bleeds into the idea of like life is pleasure, and we've like gotten so far away from that even being something that's allowed, like let alone something that we can achieve, but it's almost frowned upon to just be content.
Mm-hmm. Even when we're content naturally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like if you see someone and, thank you, Allison, says Jane, shining so bright. It's funny. It's funny because I'm so happy that you wrote that, because if I am shining bright, feeling like this face, and I'm like, do, 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 and someone's like, oh my God, like what's going on in your life? And I say, I'm choosing joy. I'm really present. I got to wake up today. Wow, I get to breathe. I have access to shelter and water and electricity. Like, oh my God, I'm like a queen here. People don't like to hear that because they have all of those things and they have access to that, and they're choosing to not. And there's too much cognitive dissonance in that. Now, if someone says, Jane, how are you so good and glowy? And I say, oh, the doctor just gave me a new pill. Tell me about it. Tell me about that. What doctor did you see? Is it expensive? Does my insurance cover it? Let's talk about this. Because pleasure has not been permissed in our culture, and it's based on religions, religious judgment and dogmatic views of this is right and this is wrong. And pleasure has not been in Western religions talked about, supported, or permissed. So to even support pleasure, beyond contentment, like that's literally not even in our Western realm of thinking. But when you go to Eastern cultures, that's what life is. Life is pleasure because it's life. It's like, how is life not pleasure? It just is. It's the choice of recognizing that. But yeah, it's really that is huge.
The way you talk about cultures too, like my partners, I tend to do, like, it just seems to be that I'm like learning about different cultures and different people. And like, I've been talking to this guy who has a very connected family. They're Vietnamese, and like they get together all the time, and they have these like gatherings, and they eat together, and they just live together. And it's like, it's so beautiful to me. And it's like, I keep asking questions that almost seem like inappropriate, because it's like, why are you even asking that? Like, yes, we do this all the time. Like, why is that? And it's like, because I don't know what that's like. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. And in all of this, like us trying to ascend, our understanding of ascension in reality is so much different than I think what we're talking about. Because like when we think of ascension on like Earth, we're like, oh, I've lost weight, oh, I've gotten this job, oh, I'm making money, and that's like not it.
Mm-mm.
Like that can happen, like that can be in there, but it's like the riches. It's like that you have to be rich in life, not rich in money mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm still figuring out the rest of that thought, but that's interesting.
I think it's perfect, because I think it's that is extremely poignant and perfect, because we don't know any other way to be than what we've experienced ourselves. Our beliefs are based solely on our lived experience and what we have known from previous nows. Our beliefs are never based on what is happening in the now, unless we have a very open mind to be able to say, yes, I'm willing to change my belief in any given now. Most people don't have that, and most people choose to not do that. And our beliefs are never based on a beautiful potential reality that's never happened, right? So anyway, so we have this belief that, like you said, in our culture, in the United States culture especially, it's, to ascend means I get the husband or the wife and the job and the car and the this and the that and the duh. Or my body looks like this, I can lift this much weight, I can I have this much in my bank account, that I've ascended, I've made it, but that's not real. The reality is it's an energetic shift. So I can have $1 million, or I can have a million pennies, or I could have absolutely nothing. And the light that I hold, the frequency that I'm vibing at, me being able to feel joy, peace, and pleasure and love, no matter what that money is, that is the ascension. To be able to feel and be emanating this light from me, right? It's like the diamond is going to be the diamond no matter how much stuff is on it. It's recognizing that I am the diamond. I'm going to shine regardless. I don't care if I'm deep in the earth or I'm on the fanciest ring or whatever. And knowing also that the ascension path, when we're in those dark places, we're not asleep. We feel asleep compared to when we wake up. That's a statement. And we are actually, the process of getting out of that pocket or out of the earth or having the facets like blasted off of us, like that right there, without that's to me is the same thing as when the caterpillar is like metamorphosing and like pushing out to become the butterfly. That is the most work ever. That's the most energy that's put out at the same time the energy is coming in. It's the most hard and ugliest and gnarly experiences ever. And that's where the juicy stuff is. My biggest moments of ascension were crying my face off, dropping to my knees. Literally, I've dropped to my knees now multiple times. And crying out for spirit or God or the universe to be with me, to guide me, to support me. I can't do this alone, but I know I am, but I'm not never alone. And then I have that little conversation, then I just laugh, and then I'm like, then I get back to crying again. But it's I go through these big self-doubts of like, it's like coming through the birth canal. That like, oh God, what's happening? Oh God, there's a bright light down there, but I kind of like it because I can't turn back, and it's these moments when I feel that when we're really committed to being in it, those moments actually aren't that long. Yeah. They don't last days and days and days and days. They don't last months and months and months. They don't last years. But we'll hold ourselves in a holding pattern of like depression or anxiety for whole lifetimes. Because we're not willing to move through it, to ascend past it, to see beyond it. That's another topic. I want to share what Allison says, reliving past hurts of the past and reacting as I have in the past, in the present when I react. Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's almost like if I don't heal through it, then I'm going to get to just relive it over and over again. And I can react the same way all day long. It's not until I do something different so that I can shine a little different. I can learn a new lesson, because otherwise it's like reading the same words over and over again. And I want to learn how to read more words. Well, if I can read cat, bat, hat, rat all day, but if I want to read the word together, it's not going to happen. Right? So it's moving through that in a different way and being aware of that. I think the awareness is huge. Standing Buffalo says, most of the time I keep myself in a positive mindset. Letting go of the ego is a huge part of this, to a point that it's not just part of my spirit. Being more in that 5D vibration. Yeah, and to that, it's like, do we let go of what part of the ego are we letting go of? And are we letting go of the ego, or are we integrating the ego? And that's another kind of topic. but the relationship with the ego, because I think in some perspectives, people feel like the ego is awful and they want to kill it. It's awful. The ego is bad, bad, bad. Kill it. And so that doesn't work for ascension, because then there's still a lot of judgment, and that part of the ego is me. So then I'm still judging parts of me, and so I actually can't ascend beyond that. So like I can think I'm letting it go, right? But if I don't actually make peace and heal and love that part of me, then I won't ascend through it, and then I'll just keep reliving versions of that ego being expressed through me. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Ego isn't, I mean, unless I'm thinking of the definition wrong, but like ego is yourself. And so like loving your ego is fine, and like developing that within yourself. It's how you reflect that ego on other people. That's can be negative.
And how we let that ego reflect upon me.
Yeah.
Like, how do I let that, does that ego control me, or do we work together? Because like the ego is great, and it was designed to keep us safe. Like, that's not safe. Don't do that. And it's the way we identify. I identify as this, that, and the other, and being able to recognize that the ego is mutable and transmutable and ever changing, that then I actually form a tighter relationship with it. It's kind of like if you're in a partnership with another human, and you met when you're 15 and you loved each other so much, and now you're 40 and why aren't they the same? I haven't changed. They're probably looking at you like, they haven't changed. And so being able to evolve with these parts of myself, I am ascending then the whole time. Because we're not always, but we're going to be in this human body until we either leave it, or we actually transmute through it through holding more light and more light, because we are mostly water and made of light anyway, so anything's possible. That's another topic. Talk about 5D, that's a whole other, we literally reflect light and glitter. Super cool. Jeremy says, just ignore the inappropriate. It's negative. Yeah. Let's see. Allison says, anywho, Judge, I've had too much too long. I've seen much of the opposite of self-care and feeding myself this bounty that's always been present inside. Seems like these practices and focus inward are just waiting to be sown. Yeah. Standing Buffalo says, laughter is the best medicine.
Truth.
So much truth. like seriously. Allison says, can get stuck in the bad for me familiarity. It's only familiar. I tell myself often. Yeah, and what is familiarity, right? It's saying it's just the same old, And to me, personally, I feel that the reason for us to be here on earth is to experience joy and pleasure and peace, to literally live in harmony, because we are nature, and that's what all things in nature do. They just want to live in harmony, make their song, move with the wind, and just be. Well, if you really think about it, we're not living in our nature. If so, we'd all be naked. We would. But, we'd be eating off of the earth, and we'd be naked, and we'd be playing a lot of music, and we'd have fires, and that's what we would be doing. So we've been literally boxed and confined in these little things called the human experience, really, in this century. And we've been taught that this is the way to be successful and the way to be comfortable. So much so that there are people who have a big challenge going outside, being in nature. I've seen children who are actually afraid of trees, that they think that the trees are going to kill them because they live in such urban environments and there are no trees, that they don't know what they're just right? And so they can stay there in that urban environment all day, right? Or wherever this is for me or you or us. But the point is to grow, right? So that's what evolution is. It's a change in life over time. It's evolving. If life stops moving, it stagnates, and that's when actual true death occurs. It's only through continual movement that we actually live. So to me, if I came here to live, that's what I want to do. I want to live, which means I'm going to go through hard times, good times, sad times, happy times. And I can always remember that on this Ferris wheel of life that I'm going to get to the top again. I'm going to get a new perspective each time, because when I get to the top of the Ferris wheel, nothing down below me is the same. People have moved. The sun has changed. The clouds have moved. Like, everything is going to be different. I would want to get off the ride if every time I got to the top, it was the same exact scene. Could you imagine? That would be boring. So why would we even come into being a human if that was the experience that we truly wanted?
Yeah, I'm stuck on like the idea of leaving jobs and like what that has done to society, and like it's just a ripple effect, because then the people who like buy into it and are stuck in that, then they push it onto other people, and they're, everyone's like going further and further into these boxes, and like it's almost getting harder and harder to actually excel in that kind of environment. And so then the people have to work more and more, and it's just like this really vicious cycle. Like I'm watching people, and I'm like, how can anyone enjoy themselves with that kind of schedule?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me, I said it the other day, I was like, these people are living among us. Like, I mean, it sounds like they're these like lifeless bodies, but I mean, in a way, like, that's what they're becoming. They're just like, well, this is what my now is, I guess. Like, this is what is forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's scary to think that, like, you don't need I think the idea of having a purpose in life is not really the best, because, like, what is that purpose, But also, like, what do you live for?
Mm-hmm. When you said that, it made me, hi, Roberta. It made me think about, or what I saw was like the hamster on the wheel. And I feel like it used to be this really big wheel, right? And it was like the hamster's like, I'm running as fast as I can, and I'm doing it. And I feel like over the generations, the wheel is actually getting smaller. So it's like, I'm running as fast as I can, and there's nothing even happening around me. I can't even see the lines of the wheel. It's just like a wall.
Yeah.
So now I just have to I'm literally just running all my energy to keep the wheel running, that I can't enjoy, I can't experience, I can't grow in, I can't play in, I can't reproduce in, I can't create in, I can't have fun in. And it takes, I think, the most courage to get off that damn wheel. And to me, that's when ascension skyrockets any of us. And we all know that. When anyone's ever made a big change, if you've ever quit your job, quit a relationship, started something, you decided to move, you decided to buy the house, sell the house, go to school, quit the school. I mean, you name it. Those like real big life changes that you're like scared shitless, but you do it because you can't not do it.
Well, and it makes you, I feel like our time is really obsessed with like true crime and like cult leaders and things like that. And it really makes you understand why people are so easily manipulated. It's not that they're manipulated, it's that they're just exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're a shell of a person anyway. So then once there is someone willing to like rock the boat, they're like, cool, I'll go do that. But they're not whole themselves. So it's like, there's not really, it's just an interesting thought. Because like, everyone always wonders, like, how do we fall into these terrible times of like the Holocaust and like of people being taken advantage of, and it's like they're oppressed. And like the rich people, like middle class people, are oppressed.
Yes.
by being stuck in that idea, they themselves are in a group. And I know there are other groups that are being like segregated and oppressed, and like, I'm not trying to take away from them because that's a whole other level, but people who think that they're not being are.
Mm-hmm. And that is where people they have too much cognitive dissonance. They don't want to admit that they are a hamster on the wheel, that they are being manipulated, that they have been lied to, and that they have fallen victim to coercion. Wait, it really wasn't my choice. Oh, I didn't even know. And that's really hard for a lot of people to actually swallow, because then we get to make a change. That's when we get to stand up for us. And that's going back to the top of the hour, right? When I leave me, that's when I'm most disappointed. So it's like, I don't know how to get me out of it. If I let me get oppressed and blindly followed something, and I fed into something that I didn't even realize was actually doing harm to me and others. And okay, then it goes back to trust, because now I don't know how to trust me, because I've been manipulated and brainwashed to believe that I can't make decisions for my own highest good. That if I follow these things, will I be right?
It's so crazy how, like, in a model like that, the oppressor wins no matter what.
Yes.
Unless you're able to ascend and get yourself not stuck in the I need to ascend in material items and ascend within myself, then in that moment, even if you are woke, even if suddenly your eyes are open to it, like you said, the shame still, so you're either held in from ignorance or you're held in from shame.
Yep.
And that's like religion, that's everything.
Yep. Societal norms, because as soon as you become someone that lives on the fringe of society, you want to live off the grid.
Yeah.
You want to grow your own garden. Right? You don't want to wear aluminum in your armpits that completely is a carcinogen and disrupts your entire hormone system. Then all of a sudden you're a hippie and you're this and you're that and you're an outlier and you're a conspiracy theorist because you question science, forgetting that science is only science because it questions itself.
Yeah.
Cool.
That is science.
Like without questioning science ceases to exist.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start to question it, then people, they point at you, and then you're this, and then you're labeled as that. And then that name calling, it's a form of bullying, which is another form of manipulation.
Yeah.
So then the oppressor doesn't even have to do all the oppressing, because now all those that are being oppressed are now the ones that are pressing for the higher oppressor.
Yeah.
They can just sit back and relax and count the money. Because now it's just a bunch of people telling each other what to do, how you need to be, how you need to act, how you need to show up, what you need to wear, what you need to smell like, what you need to own, and how you need to talk and how you need to move in life. And so if I'm stuck in that, I'm literally stuck in a box. I'm stuck in the ground. I'm stuck in darkness. I'm stuck in a space that's not truly liberated. I'm not free. Ascension is free. I can move in any direction. I can feel good when things are going bad. I can feel peace when there's a tornado. I can feel happy and feel grief at the same time. I can, and that is living in that ascended life, which means that I'm going to be aware of the all that is, right? And be able to grow through it and not beat myself up for however long I've been in it or however long I go back to it, or not knowing, or the times that I've hurt myself or hurt others, but not judging any of it. The ascended path is letting go of all forms of judgment.
Yeah, it's really opening up, like when people talk about the most, the ultimate of coming out, like when you're stuck in depression, all of this is really making me understand how important movement is, not only in your body, but like in your questioning of everything. And you're like, when you are down and dark and uncomfortable and sad, like even if you think you're that diamond that's like stuck, and even if you move, like you don't think you're going to go anywhere, like you will. Like even just the vibration of trying is going to cause that motion and that movement, and things are going to move, and it's just so, God, it's making me think of how often like I've been so upset and all I could do was like, and I know I've heard of other people talk about this too, when you get sad, like you feel like you can't move,
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, if you can just like, there's a movie called Kill Bill where she's like paralyzed and she's literally just sitting there saying like, wiggle your big toe, wiggle your big toe. And like, that's where mantras come in, and that's where, like, that's where you can bring your brain back into it. Or like, if you can't even get your brain to do it, then you're just breathing. You're just getting everything to open up. And even in that itself can be transcending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that I want to get back to the breath.
Yeah.
Let's see. Roberta says, like the COVID vaccine, Pfizer is now linked to heart inflammation disease. Yeah. Let's see. I haven't felt well since I got my second shot. I've been sick since December 8th, and I got my shot to keep my family safe. Yeah, it's a lot of propaganda that they are pushing out. I'm sorry that you've been sick. My encouragement is to stay away from all sugar, move your body, rest, drink dandelion tea. It helps to remove the spike proteins, and it also helps to flush out the system. And it's good for your body. Drink 1 cup a day. Up your juices, like green juice, a lot of fruit and veggies. Sunshine. Get as much sunshine as possible. Meditate, pray, laugh, dance, and you will continue to feel better. And it's the guilt and shame program, right? Do this, otherwise you're going to make someone else's life bad.
Well, and also don't get, and I you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but to add on to that, you can't change what's already happened. You're in your now. So and I had an issue with it because it's you're trying to do what's right. Everyone's trying to do what they think is whatever right. And at the end of the day, you will be fine if you continue to live.
Yeah.
Just keep living. So don't, if that was a comment of feeling upset that you did that or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're here now, and keep flushing, keep working, keep moving.
Yeah, keep living.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we'll feel bad, we feel guilty, I did the thing, I slipped back again, I made a wrong turn, I did this, and you know what? I didn't even do it because I wanted to. I did it because someone told me to. And we can beat ourselves up for that shit. And when we start to beat ourselves up, that's when we stop the movement forward of living life, right? If the tree loses a branch and hits somebody in the head, the tree is just being the tree. It doesn't feel good that it hit somebody in the head, and it doesn't feel bad that it hit anybody in the head either. It's still going to be a big, beautiful tree offering so much life and medicine on this earth. Could you imagine if every tree that lost a limb that hurt somebody, if someone went back and said, no, I'm taking you down, tree, and I'm going to cut you down. I'm going to cut you down. But that's what we do to ourselves, So yeah, the invitation to keep on the ascension path is to remember that ascension is going to happen. It is. Worst case scenario is it's going to happen when we die.
Yeah.
That is one of the ultimate ascensions. I mean, really, right? Because that's it. And you can live, in so many cultures, they talk about death all the time. It's not a bad thing. It's not something to fear. It's something that you're living for. You're living for death. I'm not living to escape death. I'm living to get to death, which means I want to push death even further away. It's funny how that works. So the invitation is to keep living the life, keep moving forward, keep breathing, no matter what. If it's in your physical accessibility, keep moving your body. And whether that's sitting, lifting weights, going out for a 25-mile run, dancing for a day or an hour or a minute, whatever that is, and looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, oh my God, I get to live this life. Because we get to live this life. And I think for me, that was one of the biggest changes is oh my God, I get to live this life. I get to live this life. I get to feel really disappointed today. I get to feel really angry today. I get to feel so excited today because I don't want to feel the same thing every day. If I did, I wouldn't be a human, So my invitation is to just keep breathing and keep just moving forward. And wherever you are, if it's somewhere that you don't like where you are and what you're experiencing, recognize it as, I don't like this. Okay, well then let me get to the root of it, or let me move through it. Let me heal through it. Let me call for support. Let me reach out to a friend. Let me pray about it. Let me meditate. Let me dance. Let me sing. Let me do something and not just push it aside, right? But move through it. Standing Buffalo says, trust your gut when it comes to everything. I haven't taken any vaccines since 91. Just keep myself healthy. Love you all. Love you as well. This is funny. I pulled a card at the top of the hour, and I'm going to close this. But it's the Earth Warriors deck, and I'll show you guys. It's the Kainini card, and it says, "In each other we find ourselves." And I think that to me speaks to like if I am that diamond, right? If I am actually reflecting all that light, then others will see it as well. If you are being your diamond self, right, and you are shining all of the light that you are, and you're willing to let go of the stuff that's not serving you, if you're willing to ascend and shine all of that out, then I can see it. And then I can find myself because I see this interwoven connection that we all are. We're all connected. We're all connected. We're all connected. So thank you all so much for being here and for putting your input and 2 cents and everything in. It made everything so much more rich and multifaceted. Diamond reference. I love you all so much. So keep breathing, keep ascending, keep enjoying your nows, whether you like it or not. And I will see you all so soon. Bye. I love you.